Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've got everything organized. I went and I named all the geometry like a good boy. And what is it? Do not touch group, so everything knows what's what. IK handles are in there. And I probably should, the skeleton group's got something so I can hide it. The do not touch group, typically if you just go here and I hit H, remember if you select something here, if you hit H, it hides it. You select it again, you hit H, it brings it back. Okay, so there we go. And the control group, we might make their own little separate layer in here. Control underscore group. My keyboard makes new noises now. I've got a new keyboard. And control group already exists. Oh, it's not a group, it's a layer. Okay. Okay, great. Boop. Okay, and save. And I'll just hide those. Actually, I might even point out that you're probably typically not even going to take this thing and move it, so I might hide that as well, and I can turn on my control layer, because the control layer is just going to have 2 controllers on it. That's all we need. What I want to deal with is UVs. UVs. My UVs are messy. Oh yes, UVs, messy. Oh, and you can see I've done a bunch of, I think it was horsing around with some kind of thing in here. There's no UVs on any of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'll grab everything, and typically when I do this, I like to use a Lambert. Boop, throw a Lambert on, and I'm going to go and map it with my favorite UV grid texture. I like this one. This one's really obnoxious. I'm going to hit 6, and just in case you can't see it, remember that one right there, that little icon right there, that's your texture, not this one. That's use default material, and that's just Lambert 1. Okay, off we go. And yeah, we can see we got some problems. So typically, what I always suggest is when you're first figuring these things out, start with the easiest ones. So maybe this one here. And what is it that I hate that's going on here? So the first thing I hate is that this here shouldn't be just this bright image. I always like dim distance. I wish that was just on by default, and then you can play with the slider. Okay, and so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into where am I in rigging? I'm going to switch over to modeling, and I go to UV, and I usually 90% of the time I use camera based. Boop. Okay, and here I'll even isolate it, just so we're just looking at just one object. And then what I'll do is I go in and I select my seams. I'm looking for places that look like they are kind of stressed. And here I'll hit 5 while I do this, so it's a little bit easier to see what the hell I'm doing. So I'm grabbing that edge there, and I go under Cut UV, Cut. And by the way, I have little icons for these things. Remember, that's under View, Custom Shelf, and then you can just put the buttons on your shelf. You only need a few buttons. You don't need all of these things. They're nice. They help, but you don't need all of them. So I'm going to take this, and I'll cut right through here, and I'll cut that. I'm just looking for places where there's kind of like 90-degree angles here. Cut that. Take that one. That one looks like it actually needs another edge loop in here. Actually, I'll take this one, and this one here doesn't go the whole way around. So I should double click on this. There, we got that. I'll hit cut. And yeah, that was like an extra feature I thought would look cool. And even after you cut this, remember that you can go in and if you insert an edge loop, boink, not going to really affect it. Okay, so after you've done your cuts, your life is good. And let's just see what happens when I grab everything now. I figured out all my cuts, and I hit Modify, Unfold. Remember, if it doesn't do exactly what you're hoping for, you have to be able to see this if you look in the options. When I'm using Unfold, use Unfold 3D. Boop, there. Oh my god. Actually, that's really weird. It's not supposed to do that. It went in and it kind of put them all in the 0 to 1 for me. Something weird's going on. Anyway, I'll just deal with it. See what happens. just going to grab this edge here, and I'm going to use move and sew. I moved and sewed the pieces together. Watch out, because I just grabbed one edge here. And you see there's little gaps right there. If I just grab the vertices, there's a feature in here called merge. And merge will merge vertices together, but it won't do the sew. Just in case you don't believe me, if I go and I hit sew, boop, and it does crap like that. Use merge. Merge is your friend. And any other pieces here I can see that could probably be put together. If I go in here and I grab, say, the edges off this one, deselect the other edges, so just those ones selected, and I hit move and sew, moved and sewed together over here. I'll do something like that with this one. This one in here, I selected all these edges, I deselected. Here I'll can I dim the image more? I don't know if you see that. Those are orange. These, deselect that. And I'll hit the move and sew button, and of course it moved and sewed it down here. What about this piece in the back? That edge, move and sew. Okay, and what's this other thing here? Move and sew. And it looks like there's probably a little gap on this thing. Remember, if you just go to the UVs, double click, and if I see a little gap right there, I can see it. Here, I'll just hit just the select tool, and I hit merge. Boop, there you go. That's why I like merge. Merge, you can just go in, hit the whole thing, and that, usually it's based on a distance too. I should point out that merge is based on a threshold distance, unless you have just two UVs selected. Okay, and that's good. I'm happy. I'll grab all my UVs. Actually, I'm just going to try out something weird here. When I hit unfold, they moved into the 0 to 1 again. Where the hell is that coming from? Layout UVs. Heh, something's weird. Anyway, I'll try this. If I go to modify and I hit layout, and I usually, let's reset this puppy. I usually switch it to legacy. I put it on world, and I switch between rotate free and none, typically, and world and none. I'll hit apply, they move around. Sometimes you can hit apply a couple of times, you get a slightly different result. But that looks decent to me for this one. And if I hit 6 while I'm in this window, you can see everything's relatively even. Sometimes you might change the layout a little bit. You can manually move things around if you want to. Okay, first one. And that took me 7.5 minutes to explain my way through it. I'm just going to check out and see if something works here. I can either take this and duplicate it and rebind to each joint, or sometimes you grab this joint and that joint, or that claw and that claw. Living underneath mesh, there's a thing called transfer attributes. And in transfer attributes, the UV sets are on by default. It's on world space. I want it on component, and I'm going to hit apply. Actually, where's this one? This one looks like that. So you gotta select this one first, then that one. Okay, that's interesting. Didn't actually show me the UVs of this one until I zoomed in and zoomed out. Anyway, when I hit apply, it doesn't like me. No, UV sets all... Oh, zoom in, zoom out, nothing. Okay, so I guess I'm screwed on this one. Maybe I did the freeze transforms or something like that. Sometimes you can't pull it off. Actually, let's just try one other one. Local. No, you can see it's all wonky. Came in close. What about UV? No. Go back to component. Component didn't do a damn thing. Okay. So what I'm going to have to do is duplicate it and pop it around and rebind it. So actually, let's just do that super quick. Just delete this one. Go in here and grab all these pieces. Delete. Take this thing. The pivot point should be sitting right over there. You might notice it's locked because I bound it. Okay, and there's a bunch of poly sew stuff on here, so maybe before I go too far, I can just go up here, edit, delete by type, non-deformer history. Okay, cool. And let's see, we've got a problem here. There's actually a scale value issue on here. I might just go in and if I delete the history, that breaks the connection to the geometry. Then I could go in and freeze the transforms. Okay, and then I can make a duplicate, and let's switch to this rotate tool, hold down J. 45 degrees. Shifty, shifty, shifty. Done. Okay, so that part's done. Uh-oh. Controller? Is this thing in the right spot? No. 0. That's interesting. Well, that worked out good. Okay, I lucked out because I wasn't paying attention. I was horsing around with that earlier. Okay, so that was the easiest piece. Maybe one more thing I'll mention right here. We're at the 10-minute mark. I'll mention one more thing about these is that you might notice that if I hit 3, sometimes you see a little bit of stretching, like right there. I go into the attribute editor for this object and I look into its smooth mesh options, and then I go to open subdiv, and or is it the Catmull Clark, and crease all. No, it's Catmull Clark, and I hit preserve edges and corners. Dook. There. And that fixes that, because sometimes you'll see weird stretching on here when you like take it over to Mari or something like that, and you can smooth it here and then take it over to Mari and life will be good. And if I have to do multiple objects at once, I can go to Windows, General Editors, Attribute Editor, Spreadsheet. But let's turn that off. Let's bring everything back. And I'm going to try and do one more. Actually, let's do, well, we'll do the, I always say do the easy ones first. So let's take this one. Okay, and I'll just take this one, hit it with camera based, and then I'll zip into the UV editor. Okay, and then I start going in and hunting my seams down. I'm going to hit 5 while I do this. And so I'll go in here, I'll take an edge like this, I'll cut it. And I kind of look at this and I go, you know, I'm going to call that the best edge. Cut. And then if I go here and I double click, it'll go through the whole object, right? But if I know that edge is right here, I can double click on it and I'll only grab those edges there. And then I can hit G and that'll repeat the last tool command, which is cut. G. Oh, I did the wrong one. Double click on this one and hit G. There we go. And let's see if I come in here, I'll double click on this one. That goes the whole, actually it goes down to the bottom. I'm just going to take this one and cut it. And this one here is sitting right there, so I go in, double click, I can cut that. This almost feels like I could go in and put another bevel in here. No one's going to see it though, so I don't care. And then I'm going to go in here, grab the UVs, and I'll hit the unfold button. I'm going to try this one again. That's weird. I don't know what that is. Okay, and again, it's another one of these issues where if I go to object mode, I delete the history. Oh, no, don't delete the history, because if you delete the history, you will delete your skin cluster and tweak node. So if I go in here, control, gone. Then I have to rebind it again. But if I go to edit, delete by type, non-deformer history, yay! And what did I want? I wanted the shape node and preserve edges and corners, and there I got a fairly good result on this when I hit 6. Okay, and I might decide too that in my UVs, later on I'll lay them out a bit differently once I get a couple of these pieces done. So let's see, the claws, those are all, I want those all the same. This one here, let's do one of these where I go in UV and I hit it with camera based. Actually, while I'm here, I might as well just grab it and grab that shape node and switch it to preserve edges and corners. Okay, and let's close this down, and when I close that down, it's just going to pop up again when I open this up. Let's just take this, take that edge, cut it. Okay, zipping around, cutting things. And cut. Did I grab the right one? No, I want this one. There we go. Cut. And I think that's it. And I go and I grab them again. And that's really, really weird. I don't know why it does that, but it does. Okay, so again, it shouldn't lay it out automatically like that for me. That's part of the layout tool. There's something weird going on here. It's still giving me a nice gap. Okay, cool. Weird. And also, too, let's bring back the other piece. Boop. And stop here in a minute. If I take this one and this one, they're both selected at the same time. You can see them overlapping here. You can put on this little thing here. You can kind of see them overlapping. You can kind of see a little bit of stress maybe from them. And if I go and I hit layout, let's modify layout. And when I do layout, remember I like legacy, world, free. There. And sometimes you get slightly different results when you hit the button a couple times. Anyway, there. Now I've got this. These two are sharing the same texture space, so I can potentially, what's the words I'm looking for? I might find a better result from that. Okay, so I don't have to waste so many textures for every object. Just going to check and see if these two things here will work. Modify mesh, and if I hit transfer attributes, and that one seemed to work on this one. It gives me all the right cuts. There's this one's here a little bit smaller. What if I grab this one and this one? I'm just going to hit G to repeat the last tool command, and it'll lay out the UVs on that one too. Okay, cool. Coolio. Grab these two pieces, and yeah, everything's good. Okay, so there I've gotten a few pieces done. The transfer attributes are on these things. I'm just going to grab these two things here, edit, delete by type, non-deformer history. You can also just hit delete all by type, non-deformer history, and that'll get rid of any history issues. Oh, there's a freaking tweak node. This one, we're getting tweak nodes in here. So, you know what, I'm just going to take these two things here. I'm going to delete the history, and then I'll bring back my skeleton for a second, grab this piece, grab that, and if I just go into rigging, skin, I got it on selected joints, boop, there, and I'll just hit G, and that's good again. Okay, so yeah, the transfer attributes sometimes can be flaky. It kind of leaves a little node in there that I want to get rid of. And let's see, should I do more? Oh no, did this thing? Oh, you bastard! This thing again. How did that happen? Okay, I won't look at that right now. Maybe this one here, I did an extrude along a curve, and I should point out that this one here, because I did an extrude along a curve, I can usually just kind of get away with going in here and grabbing the scale tool. Here, let's just zoom in here so you can see what I'm looking at, what I know is there. Okay, and I'll scale this down. And you kind of want to get everything kind of so it's squarish. Looking for a spot where I can see the numbers really, really well. Everything reads really, really well. And there it is. I could make this cable, let's see, if I go and I stare at it for a minute and I bring it up here, I can kind of tell that maybe if I just cut it up into a few pieces and hit layout, my life would be really, really good. So what I might do is just go in here and grab, say, this edge here. God. And how many is that? That's a little, like, boop, 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 6 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll just come in here. Boop, boop. Cut. And then I come up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Cut. And that should be good. And if I grab all the UVs and I just hit layout, boop, they'll go into the 0 to 1 area. I could probably fit both cables on the same texture and no one would be wiser. Okay, and let's see, so that's one over here, got all these poly clips. It looks like somehow I deleted the history on this. Okay, so I wasn't totally paying attention. But whatever, I'll get rid of that one and I'll I'll rig it up later on. There, I'm going to finish this one around here, and I'll do a couple more pieces in another video.